Well, let's talk about the next ultra woke story here.
Boy.
So this is something that's been going viral quite a bit. We got this from Newsweek. Coca-Cola facing backlash says be less white. Learning plan was about workplace inclusion. That's the gist of the story. Coca-Cola is facing a mounting backlash from conservatives online. That's what I really love about how they frame this. Conservatives are upset. Ian, are you a conservative?
Well, not really. Sometimes, I guess.
Do you think it's absurd that Coca-Cola told its employees to be less white?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So Newsweek, you need to correct your story. It's not it's not just conservative.
It actually says that. Be less white.
Yeah.
Try to be less white.
That's ridiculous. If
What
I
does
heard
that
that
mean?
when I was a kid, I'd be like, darken my skin? Like with a crayon?
That's good.
That's what I was saying. Like first, like I thought, like putting on bronzer and stuff is racist.
Ian,
Ah.
it's literally a slide that says try to be less white.
Oh, man.
And the way that they describe white is oppressive, arrogant, and ignorant.
Now, if you said be less oppressive, arrogant, and ignorant, that's all you can say.
No. They're saying if you're white, you
Why do they gotta
are
bring race
you
into it?
are oppressive, arrogant, and ignorant.
And I have to point out, Luke and I are both not white.
Yep.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's wrong. I'm double white.
Scandalous.
You're like triple white.
No,
for your Asian
not
privilege.
anymore.
According to who?
The protesters in New York. So the Asians were getting attacked, and they said march against white nationalism, and that proves that Asians are now minorities again.
Oh, are they?
But Luke is Slavic, and according to the Coalition of Coalition of Communities of
I'm
Color.
looking it up right now so I could get my card. I'm getting my privilege card ready. Hold
Yeah,
on.
there's an organization called it's called the Coalition of Communities of Color, and they say Slavic people are not white. So for Luke here, who's literally got, what color's your hair, Luke? You say strawberry blonde, brown,
Yeah, strawberry
blonde,
blonde, dirty blonde,
blue eyes,
yeah,
Yep.
white skin,
big
Better
nose,
than me.
big nose. You're not white.
Putin looking like
Putin lookalike. You're not white. So try and be more like Luke. Apparently, Coke is saying.
Yeah,
I don't understand this. So you're not considered white.
I was born in Poland. So being born in Poland, I'm a Slavic individual.
Victims of
And-
communism.
I think you're literally
And
like
fascism.
paler than I am,
Yes.
and I'm pale.
How dare you
Yeah.
I
make an
reflect
observation
the
like
sun.
this? I am pink, okay?
But
No, you're beige.
I
We'll
like
go with
beige
that.
better.
Yeah, okay.
this is what they're
have a
trying
lot
to
of
say, though.
chocolate
They're saying it's like politically white.
Well, this is the thing. They make this distinction. This is the weirdest thing about liberals today. This stuff kills me. They make this distinction between white people and whiteness all the time as if it somehow makes what they're saying less racist. Like it's this thing that they're like, you know what? I mean, like on a fundamental level, being a white person is okay, but having whiteness, this internalized thing that you can have as just any person, not okay. And it's like, yep, all right, cool, makes sense.
It's so insidious how they tie negative traits towards the idea of being white, and then when you call them out for racist, they go, oh no, we don't mean your race, we mean it's just a word. And you're like, no, but if no one understands that, you're literally talking about race. My favorite thing with the story, there's a couple articles. One of them said Coca-Cola is accused of reverse racism for saying try to be less white. I haven't heard anybody say that's reverse racist. Everyone's just saying it's literally racist.
Yeah. Another thing that's really important to kind of point out here, you brought up the rally that happened in New York City where hundreds of people came out against the rally against white nationalism for Noel Quintano. Noel Quintano was a Filipino man that was slashed across the face, beat up brutally, not by a white guy. People are saying this was a racially motivated attack. It's all because of white nationalism. The guy who attacked him wasn't white.
What was he black?
Yeah. Same in San Francisco. There's another report of a hate crime, and there's another call for a rally against white nationalism. And again, the victim was Asian, and the perpetrator was not white.
This is the biggest problem I have with it. First, I just need to clarify. So I'm once again not white. Is that what's happening here?
Well, you're like you have a lot of privilege, so you're getting kicked out of universities.
That's true.
Because you're too smart.
Because you're too
Asians not
smart.
allowed.
Yeah.
So
So the problem I have is these well-to-do liberal progressive types are focusing on some racial ideology that had literally nothing to do with these crimes, making it harder for us to actually have activism around these crimes. I don't care if the perpetrator was white or black or Asian or Latino. I care that the crime that was committed was illegal and someone got hurt. So how about we rally against violence? We rally against racially motivated violence. They make it about white nationalism, and then there's no real conversation about what's driving the racism in these communities. The problem is if they acknowledge that, guess what? Black people can be racist. Asian people are really racist, particularly in Asia. I'm not super, I know a lot of American Asian people as well who are pretty good because Americans, we grow up in this culture, we tend to do a better job. But my friends and the people I know who have come from Asian countries, they tend to be pretty racist. Right? Anybody of any race can be racist, have prejudicial views, and view others as superior or inferior. It is rampant in Southeast Asia, no joke. And if we can't acknowledge that because these well-to-do white progressives are obsessed with themselves and they think somehow white is superior or privileged, like, I'm sorry, man, that is leftist white supremacy. This idea that their race is paramount and privileged above all others, and that no matter what happens, no matter who commits the crime, it's not the fault of the individual who committed the crime. It's white. Like, these people really hold themselves to such esteem that no matter, it's remarkable. No matter who commits the crime, they're like, well, actually, it's all about white people. I'm like, dude, you're racist. That's not true, man.
And actually, you know, traveling the world, whether it was Asia, Africa, Latin America, you realize that, holy cow, the world's really racist. And I'll just be honest here. You know, I'm not a big nationalist at all. I don't like governments at all. But the United States, honestly, is one of the least racist places that I've, you know, seen and was able to observe.
It is the least racist place I've ever been to.
Yeah, same.
No joke. And
you travel to Africa, you travel to Asia, you travel to Latin America, your eyes will open up to the reality of the world.
Sweden was more racist than the United States when I went there. It was shockingly racist. But maybe racist isn't necessarily the right word. Xenophobic is probably a better word for it. And I know that word gets thrown around a lot by progressives in this country, but no, let me explain. We interviewed this woman who was American, who spoke Swedish, got married to a Swede, moved to Sweden, and she couldn't get a job. And she said it's because nobody wants to hire someone with an accent. So it wasn't even about the race. It was about, you're not Swedish. So it's super nationalistic in a sense. And what I discovered, especially in Sweden, especially from many minorities who are working on trying to end this stuff, they would say, like, Swedes very much like to pretend that they're not racist, but they are super racist. So what they'll do is they'll be like, we're going to help all these poor minorities, and then put them all into like some community with limited resources and do nothing for them and watch it fester, and then just claim to everybody how not racist they are. Super racist.
The people pretending not to be racist are usually the biggest racist.
Yep.
Same with homophobes. The biggest
Like
homophobes are usually the biggest guys who are in the closet. Let's just be honest
What was
here.
up with all those Republicans who were like
right.
super anti-gay but then turned out to be gay?
Yeah, that Republican who was caught in the bathroom
all right,
police
that's-
officers
yeah.
trying to solicit from an undercover police officer some
I thought
interesting activity.
thought
I'm family friendly. Don't worry, Tim. I'm going to be
yeah.
very family friendly here. Another thing to really kind of consider here is that, you know, a lot of people are attributing, you know, white nationalism to, you know, different people of race, you know, beating each other up. But this is happening in New York City. This is happening in San Francisco, where we're seeing these rallies and we're seeing these kind of alleged hate crimes. But we have to understand, crime is going up dramatically in these places, regardless of race. It's becoming more of a violent, more of a criminal place, where even a 2-year-old got punched in the head by a panhandler in a New York City subway just recently. There was other footage of a guy beating another one with a baseball bat brutally.
Yeah, dude.
The amount of violence that is overtaking New York City is really reaching proportions that are unlivable for many people. It's one of the reasons I left. I'm never going to be coming back there ever again. And this is the city that I grew up in. This is the city that I was raised in.
Well,
and it's even coming back to a place where when I first came into it, it was extremely violent, extremely somewhere where you don't want to be.
So we'll bring it back to this Coca-Cola thing where they're telling people to be less white. This weird try to be less white thing is the result of people who refuse to acknowledge the problems in their community and look for a scapegoat.
Yep.
If there is an Asian man who is slashed across the face, attacked by a black person, race doesn't need to be the defining, like, the law was broken. You can't slash people in the face. What happens then is you get these activists, these progressives, scapegoating the problem, making it about white nationalism instead of general crime, violence, poverty, etc. So the problem doesn't get solved. And then people who don't understand what the march is all about, instead of going after the core issues, class issues for one, they then start saying, we need to tell everybody to be less white because you see what happens to that poor Asian man? I'm like, that had nothing to do with it. Now all of a sudden you got Coca-Cola. They don't know what that means, be less white. They have no idea what that is. They read it in the Robin DiAngelo book. That woman is an avowed racist. She says she's a racist. Why are you teaching people to be like a racist woman? It makes no sense.
It's funny because, like, when you talk about this as someone who's grown up in a different country, like there's Australia, and obviously Australia's pretty ethno-homogenous in the sense that, you know, I think the population is 90% white or something like that. You have this perception of the US, and when you come here, and then when you see what the communities are like, I agree with you in the sense that there's a lot of non-self accountability that goes down in particular communities. That it, and as someone who has now lived in the US for almost 2 years, who's observed a lot of it as a completely objective third-party observer, I have no personal interest in like the racial affairs of the United States, but when I watch this stuff, and when you are treated in a certain way by particular groups of people, you come to realize that it's not the white population, in my opinion. Maybe I'm saying this because I'm a white person. That's probably what people would say. But as a white person, I don't think that it's the white population that's even the racist group in this country. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but as an outsider, someone who's come into it, I think that there's a lot of...
I think you're wrong.
You think the white population is the most racist?
Absolutely.
All the time?
They're called liberals.
Yeah, they're called Democrats.
Yeah. No, but generally, like white, like even I know you guys are joking, but
no,
like
no.
White liberals are for sure, but like normal people, you and me, I don't care what you look like. Just be normal to me.
Yeah. Right. Like, but listen. I think I understand what you're trying to say. That you're talking about like negative racism where someone would attack a person of another race, right?
No, I'm talking about the fact that like America, so I don't see white people going around and going, you know what we should do? We should put anyone who's not white in internment camps.
That's one aspect of racism. When you have a bunch of white people saying white is bad, so there's a chart that shows in-group, out-group preference among different races, and they split up white by liberal and conservative. Liberals are the only group with an out-group preference. White liberals are quite literally the most racist. So the in-group preference among Black, Asian, Latino is less, I believe, than the out-group preference of white liberals.
But I don't consider their opinions when I talk about anything because I think they're so radical, and I really do. I think they're so radical that I don't even register. The far left to me, the people that you're talking about, to me, they're so far gone that I don't even register their opinions.
This is major companies. These are the establishment pushing these talking points. We're talking about governments, universities, high schools, major corporations pushing these talking points, these lectures by Robin DiAngelo, this white woman who's trying to make sure people don't understand that she's also white.
She's racist. She says she's racist.
Yes.
Since when do we take our talking points from racists?
Coca-Cola employs a large number of employees, and this influence, this kind of conjecture of how bad it is to be white, how bad it is to be born of a certain DNA, assembly. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But this is the institutions that set policies. These are young minds of children that are being taught this in schools every single day. This is going to become the new norm, this kind of line of thinking, if it's not challenged. And it's not challenged. It's coming back under the Biden presidency, and it's going to be institutionalized so much to the point where this is the new normal.
It already is institutionalized.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like the newest video that I made, I literally just posted this yesterday, is about, like, I have a series, White People Bad. And it's basically just where I find the most ridiculous things on the internet of people, I'm trying not to swear, Tim, I'm trying to think of alternate words, people just attacking white people over just nonsense. And there was one thing that I found that really disturbed me, and it came from, I believe the original post was basically white people can experience murder. And I went and looked into that. Yeah, it was mental. I went and looked I looked into it a little bit, and I believe that it's more or less a troll post, came from like 4chan, where they want to like rile people up, because I couldn't find it on any lefty forums. But when I read it, I was like, this sounds like something a regressive leftist would say. But that was not the disturbing part. The disturbing thing was a video that I found that had been screened effectively at a university, so to speak, in San Francisco, called "Why Don't We Murder More White People?"
What?
What?
Yes.
What?
Yep. No. It's I encourage people. I'm not going to float my own channel, but I put a bunch of clips in this video.
Yeah. Shout it out.
No, it's just, I mean, like, it was the
What's
most...
the name of the video?
The video on my channel?
That you did about this?
White People Bad Part 3.
Okay. That's an easy title to remember.
So listen.
It's literally the newest video, but this thing was mental.
Oh my gosh.
The area I grew up
Disgusting.
in was very just mixed. A bunch of different, we had Polish immigrants, we had Latino, we had Asian, we had Black people, and we all got along with each other. And I think it was because we all lived next to each other. You know what I mean? When you say, do you don't think white people are the most racist? I would say if you have this view of racism as like a guy walks into a store and they say, we don't serve your kind round these parts.
Yeah,
but
that's
we're talking
part of my
about
understanding.
literal racism. The white progressives in this country are substantially, exponentially more racist than any other group I've ever encountered.
Yeah, I would
Look,
agree with that.
I've been all over the country, been all over the planet, and it was amazing when I first went to Occupy Wall Street. So before Occupy Wall Street, I hadn't left the country, but I had been all over the country in various places. I had been in conservative areas, I had been on military bases. I got to, I hung out with people who are religious and pro-life, and I really didn't think racism was all that prominent. I thought, like, this is it. Like, we've done away with these old stereotypes. There's still problems. The remnants of blockbusting and redlining persisted into the 80s and still exist in some forms today. But I'm like, man, we really are winning and crushing these racists. And then I went to Occupy Wall Street. And the progressives segregated everybody based on race into different groups based on their race. And your voting privileges in the community was determined partially based on your race. So they had some groups where it was like the Black Caucus got a vote in how money was spent simply because it was a group of black people. But then you had like the sanitation working group. They got a vote on spending money based on the fact that they all cleaned and were sanitary. And so I was like, I don't understand why voting power is derived based on the fact that you're a group of people based on race. And they were like, you just don't understand because, we got to just break down all the racism, whatever. There was one black dude at Occupy Wall Street, not super involved, and he was chilling. And I saw him arguing with somebody one day. It's not at Zuccotti Park. And I overheard him talking, and then he was disparaging Occupy Wall Street. It was interesting. So I went up to him and I was like, hey, bro, you're hanging out here? You think this is crazy? And he went, bro, do you have any idea what the press would say if they found out y'all are segregating people based on race into different colored groups? That's crazy. And I was like, I agree with you. These people are nuts. I had never experienced that kind of racism in my life. I have met racist, redneck conservative types, and I have heard them say horrible things, but it's always like, so I had an Uber driver once who was like, it was in Virginia, and this guy was super racist. He slowly started, we were talking about politics, and then he mentioned something particularly racist, and then immediately walked it back because he knew it was not socially acceptable. So that guy was a racist, but he couldn't say it. These progressives flaunt it. They shout to the high heavens, we're racist. They scream and then write books about it. And Coca-Cola hires them to teach their employees how to be racist.
Amazing.
Welcome to America, 2021. It's insane.
One of the other interesting aspects of Occupy Wall Street, being there from the very beginning to the very end, was to see it kind of emerge into two different classes. We had the uptown area, which had all the liberals and all the white people in the libraries, and then we had the downtown area, and then the uptown and the downtown area had an internal conflict and fight within Occupy Wall Street. So seeing these social dynamics kind of recreate itself in our main society was amazing and incredible to see in real life as it kind of unfolded on this kind of time scale. But another thing I wanted to bring up, Babylon Bee made some really good points today, and they brought up 7 points about how to be less white. If you don't mind, I'm going to read some of them. I'm not going to read all of them, but I think there's some important takeaways here. Number 5, it says, throw away all of your ranch dressing, mayo. It's all got to go.
No, I love mayo.
Number 7, it says, hate yourself every walking moment until you have sufficiently atoned to your whiteness. Oops, spoiler alert, you'll never sufficiently atone for your whiteness. Better go back to step 3. Step 3.
No, whoa.
Yeah,
all right.
Step 3
Someone's a
is
gorilla.
to, family-friendly show, terminate yourself.
Terminate functions.
Yeah,
Yes.
terminate your internal functions from working as a human being,
Jeez,
and then
spicy.
there you go. Racism ended forever. So Babylon Bee, pretty interesting.
You say that
article
you
here.
say it
Rip
like
off
it's a
your
joke,
skin.
though.
Yeah.
But you like that's what's weird is they're making a joke. But did you guys see that cut video that came out like 3 months ago that talked about like all the reasons white people are the worst in the world? Like, what are white people superior at? Did you guys see that?
No.
Okay, I'm surprised that you didn't, because this
I
video
think
basically.
I did see it. Yeah.
I'm sure
been a
you
while,
guys
yeah.
did. Like, basically, it was a group of they collected 100 black folks with an X. Love that for them, and got them in a room and said, "What are white people superior at?" And it starts off like real lighthearted, like, haha, mayonnaise. Like, okay,
Yes.
cool.
Spicy.
You know, white
Yeah.
people love their dogs at one bit, and then it goes into, oh, they're better at oppression, they're better at white supremacy, they're better at murder, they're better
It's so not true, because I gotta be honest. Asians are just so much better at a lot of these things. No
At
joke.
oppression?
Like,
The
Genghis Khan,
Japanese.
man.
Mongolia would
Yeah,
like to
for real.
speak to you. Japan wants to have a conversation, guys. Japan
Yeah.
has a lot to say about this.
I found out that I was. I always thought I was a quarter Korean, and then I found out I'm actually 5% Japanese through DNA tests. And then I was like, you know why that happened?
Buddy,
Yep.
you got to atone. No, but I mean, this is the thing, is like you make jokes about it, but then you go and watch this content that, mind you, is still up on YouTube, doesn't break any freaking guidelines and things, that has people literally saying that white people are the best at oppression. Okay, well, thank you.
Well, what's let's say good things. What are white people good at?
No.
Figure skating? Is that true?
Country
Japanese.
dancing,
Yeah, there you go.
Square, yes.
Yeah.
square dancing.
Yep.
Capitalism.
Yes.
It even feels dirty to say it. I don't know. Technology.
It's like, I don't know.
Ian, go.
No one's white. It's such a weird phrase. It's such a weird descriptor.
They're whaling. Actually, no, that's not even true. Japanese are way
Whaling?
better at whaling.
Yeah. What the heck?
Calling the
Fishing,
cops.
Like
fishing.
what DNA?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Caucasian
Hold on.
DNA is better at than other DNA?
Let me tell you about skateboarding stereotypes. I'm going to tell you about skateboarding stereotypes, all right? These are stereotypes that I'm not saying are true, but were brought up to me when I was young in skateboarding. Asian skateboarders tend to be good at technical skateboarding, which means they can do extremely complicated maneuvers. So it's like combining the most tricks into one trick. Black skateboarders tend to, and again, this is a stereotype that people in skateboarding have said, tend to be able to ollie better than anybody and do some of like the best flat ground skating. And then white people are really good at jumping off buildings. No joke. These are the stereotypes. So this is, I'm not saying I agree with them or even support these ideas, but these are stereotypes that emerge. So when people joke, I'll tell you this too. You want to hear racism, but that no one cares about? Go to a skate park and you'll hear the N-word more times than you've ever heard it in your life. And nobody cares. It's all just like urban culture. You get people of all different races saying it over and over again. So these are stereotypes that get brought up. And so what people will say is like when they talk about, what are white people good at? It's like, man, they can jump off buildings and jump down railings. Basically, and this does align kind of with conquest and oppression, in my opinion. War, World War, Europe, a lot of conflict. And I was reading about this, and I was reading that it was because population density in Europe with nowhere to go. Whereas in North America, Asia, and Africa, you actually can flee in the event of conflict and crisis. In Europe, they couldn't. So those who survived were those willing to fight more,
That makes sense.
I don't know if that's true, though, but it does fall in line kind of what we're saying about oppression or whatever.
Well, I mean, like, I guess that some of the biggest empires were what? Roman, Greek. I know they said UK. Yeah, no,
Well,
the Ottoman Empire
was
was
Mongolian.
massive,
Portuguese, the
massive.
Spanish, the French.
No, but
the
who were the
English.
biggest? Because then, if we really want to,
The English.
The English
technically.
Empire was what? That took over
French
like
was
40%.
really-
Genghis Khan as well.
He was pretty dope, man. I
don't know about dope.
The murdering, not so much. But I watched Marco Polo recently. That show. Honestly, he was pretty good. I learned some stuff. Apparently, it's Chengiz, not Genghis. So I've been saying it wrong my whole life.
It's Chengiz Khan?
It's Chengiz.
Like Big Chengiz?
Yep.
Chungus. It was Big Chungus. That's the meme.
That's different.
Apparently, it's a C sound rather than a G sound. So I've been saying that wrong my whole
I heard
life.
he enforced civil rights.
Yeah.
He did.
That's
He was a
interesting.
weird one because even though he took over so much land, it was almost like what the Romans did, where the Romans went in and were like, okay, this is ours now. You can still do your own thing, but we're still going to tax you and whatever, but you can stay here and do whatever. But what?
I figured out what white people are good at.
What?
Communism.
Oh yeah.
Wait, no, they're not good at it. They failed
we
every
failed.
time.
Yeah,
Everyone did.
every
But
single
but they
100% of the time.
But Karl Marx invented it, or like
That's right,
he didn't
yeah.
invent it. He like kind of wrote about it.
With his
Now
friend
there was a
Engels?
racist.
That's right. Yep.
Oh my goodness! If you look at his letters, oh my.
Spicy.
Yeah, don't.
Isn't it weird that all these people that like white liberals uphold to this standard are honestly some of the worst
Yeah.
humans when it comes to the treatment of other racial groups?
Yeah.
Che Guevara, Mao Zedong.
Yeah. Mm.
I don't
Solid.
Pol Pot, like,
Well,
cool.
you know, it was really interesting. So I listening to the Beatles, you have the song Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that line. When I was a little kid, I did not understand what this meant. But if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow.
Yeah, apparently you will.
I was a little kid. I didn't understand what that meant. I was just like, huh, Chairman Mao, like, and I was like a little kid singing Beatles and like, running around playing guitar or whatever. And then I got older and I was like, oh, I get it. He was saying, yo, don't support authoritarian communists, bro. Like, that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe his message didn't work out all that well.
Yeah, well, obviously it didn't.
Yeah, because these people are all about it.
Yep. Yeah, they want to turn America into what, like a socialist utopia. Love that
Yeah.
for them.
I'm excited.
I can't wait to be like standing in my bread line,
Yeah,
getting like
gulags.
besieged. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Be
So
awesome.
excited.
I'm stoked. Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, my family doesn't have good reviews
No?
of
No?
communism from
Yeah.
what they went through.
How many
They
stars?
had a bad
how,
stay.
how many stars?
Zero.
You have
There's
to
no
pick
stars
one.
in communism. There's only
How
the
many-
redistribution
There's
of
ours-
stars
our
for
stars.
everyone.
Stars, yeah.
Everyone gets a star in communism.
Everybody gets one.
One.
Yes.
Only one.
Yes.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.